So if you plan on getting older, be careful how high you lift your truck. Hey, what's up out there, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. This is a topic, it wasn't a planned topic, but this is something that I gotta talk about. You know, if you planning on lifting up your truck, well, first of all, let's just take a look at my truck for a moment. All right, so of course you guys have seen this many times before, the Ford F-150, okay? As you can see, it's got a lift on it, and it's a 3-inch lift, okay? And in putting this 3-inch lift on there, I also had to put some 1-inch back blocks on the back of it to level it all the way off. All right. So, but before we get into all that, let's go back to the origins. Let me show you what my vehicle used to look like when I first bought it. So as you all can see from that original picture, the way that the F-150s are, the way that they make them with a rake, and you can see them in the pictures below, and the rake where it leans down to the front, and where it looks like it's jacked up in the back, okay? And the reason why Ford say that they did that is because people did a lot of towing with them, so therefore that when they hooked the tow up on the vehicle, it would pull the back of it down like that and level it out, okay? But if you're not always towing something, then you're constantly riding around like this, you know, with it jacked up in the back. Now, there was a time when vehicles that were jacked up in the back were in, okay? I mean, they were hot rods. And that's the way we used to roll back in the 70s and back in the early 80s. You know, guys had the hot rods and the vehicles jacked up in the back. And, you know, that looked good, but not now it doesn't. I mean, because, you know, you see a lot of guys with the vehicles lifted, and on a lot of trucks that you'll see them when they're sitting up kind of, you know, I like a leveled look. That's what I like. I like a leveled vehicle. And you got some that got that bulldog look where they're sitting up in the front, where it's got that, I can't think of the name of that word for it, a perch or something like that, where it's jacked up, you know, where it's sitting up in the front, where they've got it lifted, and, you know, it's got that saddle. It's called saddle squat. That's what it is. It's a squat look to it, okay? I'm not big into the squat look, okay? I think that, in my opinion, to me, I like the vehicles to be level, okay? Now, as you see, I showed you the pictures of this truck when I first got it. It had the squat to it. It had the tires and everything and the wheels on it, but it had a squat to it. Not a squat. It had that fork that pitched towards the front, okay? And not a squat, but like I say, the pitch towards the front. That's what this F-150 had on it. And I wanted to level it off. So what I did was I purchased these, okay? These are 2-inch leveling springs, and these go right down up in here, right up under the spring part, okay? So at a closer look, right up in here, this is where this sat on top of that, okay? And due to the fact that it sat on top of it, you know, it bowed down the upper control arms, okay? So it gave me a 2-inch lift, all right? Now, once I put the 2-inch lift on there, okay, I mean, it wasn't a real bad ride afterwards. But me, you know, I had to go a step further, which I wish right now I hadn't have. So I decided to myself, that these right here, that these 2-inch spacers, you know, that goes on top of the coil springs, that it wasn't high enough, you know. So what I did was I took off the old stuff, and if you can look up under and see what I got up under there now, I got the Rough Country 3-inch coilover lift, which this system came with the strut, which is right here. The strut, the springs right there. And it also came with the upper control arm, which is right here, okay? Now, I want y'all to see something. I want you to take a look at that upper control arm and look at the pitch that upper control arm is at. Now, can you all see the pitch that this upper control arm is at? It's to the point where it's coming down so far. And what I'm going to do now, you see this one right here? This is a upper control arm too, but this fits a Chrysler. This is one I'm going to put on the 300. The way this thing works is, let's see, turn it around if I get it the right way. Okay, now the one that's on here now is pitched down like this. It's pitched down so far that it doesn't give you much room to move back and forth like this. Now, the correct pitch of where this upper control arm should be, this right here, the gray one right here, that's the existing upper control arm. It should be at a pitch about right here. This is where it should be. And the reason why it should be at a pitch like this, because when you hit a bump or hit bumps and stuff like that, it's designed to come up, it's designed to come down like that, okay? You ever notice that if it's at this pitch right here, when you lift your truck up or your vehicle up off the ground, it comes all the way down like that, okay? That stretches that stretches your front end, okay? You've got your CV axle down there as well that's also got a pitch to it. And I'll show you if you can see where the CV axle is. If we can get down this way here. There's the CV axle is right here, okay? And you can see that's at a pitch. It's at a pitch, okay? It's not at a pitch so bad where it's going to do any damage, you know, to that gearbox or anything in there, but it's still at a pitch. And right now, okay, I'll put it to you this way. What the 3-inch lift did was it pulled more stress on my front end, okay? Hopefully, I'm trying to explain this thing right. I hope you guys can get it. I hope I can explain this right. I hope I sound correctly in this. Now, with it being sitting down like it is at that ankle, that the angle is at, that if I lift the truck up, it's still at that angle. See, it should be right here. Then when you lift your truck up, it goes down to right there. That gives you the wiggle movement to the wiggle room to move for it to go up and down. So whenever you hit a bump, you know, you hit a bump, it'll go like that. Therefore, you feel less of those bumps or those potholes in the streets. When it's all the way down like that and it's pulled the stress all the way down, let me show you something here. I know how I can explain this, guys, to you a little bit better. Now, this is my little remote control Bronco here. Okay, this was my Christmas present. I told y'all about this. But I'm going to show you. This is the similarity. This is how your front end works, okay? Now, if I push up and down on this, see, it gives a sort of, it's shock absorbers, okay? It's shock. That's for when you hit a bump. If you hit a bump and that wheel hits a bump, it goes up like this. Let's see. Let me get back a little bit further so you guys can see what that front wheel does. If that front wheel hits a bump, it goes up like that. See that? The front wheel will go up like that. All right? That's how all vehicles work. That's how they work. But if you have anything that's in between here where you're stretching it, because when you let the vehicle up in the air, this stays down. Okay, the weight on it, but it's not a lot of weight on this because there's no motor up in here and it's not heavy like a regular vehicle. This would come down like that. Okay? All right? Giving you some shock absorber room. And look at the front wheels. Look what the front wheels does. Now, get that a little bit closer. What's happening is, due to the fact that I have that 3-inch lift on there, it's stretching that upper control arm down so far that, and it's got it tight in that position to keep the vehicle up. So when you hit a bump, what happens to it? If I roll over and hit this bump like this, say this bump is my finger, okay? That tire, look how that tire moves. I hope y'all can see that. I hope you can see that. I really, really hope you can see that. I can get that back just a little bit further. Look at how this tire, and my fingers are a bump, but look at how that moves like that. See? Therefore, that keeps you from feeling, you know, all the pressure of those holes, bumps, potholes that you in the street. If the system is all the way stretched out, when you roll over it, this is what you're going to get. You roll over it, the whole thing goes up. The whole thing goes up, bam. So you feel every bump because you got nothing on it that's compressing it like that. You got nothing on it to give it any type of shock absorber. My front end is so stretched because of those 3-inch, that 3-inch leveling kit is so stretched and so far down that it's not giving it any room to come up like this. So this front wheel sits still just like this and will not move. It won't move like that. Okay, so if it moved like that, then I would feel less of the bumps. But due to the fact that it's like that and it's stuck in that position like that way, that means you hit and you feel every bump that that you roll on. Every bump, every pothole, you feel them. Okay? I remember listening to my boy, what's his name? Kicking with Q. Okay, he's got a YouTube channel. And he was talking about how, once you get a lifted truck, that same smooth ride that you had out of before, won't be there anymore. But now, that's only if you put a leveling lift on it. Now, if you put an entire lift on it, if you put like a 4-inch lift, because there's a difference between a leveling kit and a lift kit. Now, this one I have is called a 3-inch lift. And the reason why it's a 3-inch lift kit, because it comes with the upper control arms and the full parts of the upper control arms and the shocks. That's one of the reasons why, okay? But when you do a real lift on it, that means that entire suspension from the front, the cross member bar, all that's cut down at the bottom and replaced and let down. And once that's let down, you ever want to see how a vehicle is riding? Just take a look at the upper control arm and see the angle or the position it's in. This one will give me a much smoother ride if this upper control arm set up like how I had the other piece. If it's set up like this, if it's set up higher, it would give me a more controlled ride. That means I wouldn't feel all the bumps and knocks in it. Now, this kit also came with the rear shocks as well. And also it came with the leveling bracket, which is right down on the axle. If you can see it, it's kind of hard to see it from this position here. But it's a block that goes up under there. We may be able to get it from this side here. There's a block that goes up under there that brings it up, because if I had to put it on there, if I had to put the lift at the front end up without putting the back blocks on it, I'd have had to squat, in which I hate that squat. I really do, because it's, it makes it look jacked up in the front, and I don't like that. All right, so the whole point of me doing this video, it's when I said that if you plan on getting any older, be careful before you lift your truck, because, I got to climb up and down in this thing all the time, okay? And, I got a bum knee. I got one needed knee surgery on it, and that I'm not having on it because I had it on the other one, and the other one's fine. It's keeping me going. So to go through that again, no, I don't want to go through that again. I'll just live with the little bit of pain that I got. But, it's not only that, but, I guess because the older you get, you get to the point where you want a smoother ride in your vehicle. That's what I'm saying, okay? Because this is my daily driver, but I'm driving my 300 a little bit more, and then sometimes I'm driving, the Telluride a little bit more as well, because I may want to go somewhere and get in and get out quick, and this one here you got to climb up in and climb up out of. I mean, I'm not I'm not a spring chicken, okay, and I'm not over the hill either, okay, but the way I do feel is I'm in my prime. That's exactly how I feel, okay? So, as I was saying, before you do this, just remember that the same ride that you had before when you first got them, because these F-150s, I mean, these vehicles are nice riding vehicles. They really are. They're comfortable. And, the trucks of today are nothing like the trucks of yesterday, of older days, when trucks first came out and you got in a truck, you felt like you were in a truck, okay? These trucks now, you hop in them now, you feel like you're in Cadillacs and Continentals. That's the way they feel, But, we do things to modify things. I really wish Ford would come up with a better solution than that rake. Now, in the Ford Raptor, it doesn't have that rake. It has a more of a level stance to it. And also the F-250s, they come, lifted with a level stance, and those things, they ride beautiful. I mean, I rode them before, but you know, when I guess them youngsters, you know, they don't mind the rough ride as long as they get the cool look. Now the look is cool. I love the look. Don't get me wrong. I love the way my truck looks. I get a lot of compliments out of it. I mean, I do. I mean, I pull up on lots, and you know, people, you know, they're always, you know, complimenting me on it, talking about how big it is, and you know, pulled up on one gas station lot, and the girl walked out, and she said, "Man, that thing is sexier than a MF." Okay, I don't want to use a whole bunch of cuss words, you know, on it, but you know, it's a looker. It's got its thing about the way it looks, and it looks good, and I love the way it looks. It's just that, you know, if the ride was a little bit better, and listen, these tires I got on here, these are all-terrain tires. Okay, now when I first got it, I had the Arturo mud tires, the Trailblade mud tires, the Arturo. And I mean, you heard them things when they roll. You heard them, but these you don't even hear them. They're smooth. They're really smooth. Like I say, if the ride was just a little bit smoother, you know, it would, you know, it would make me feel. I'm not complaining. Don't get me wrong, because I'm the one that did it. That's the reason why, from the start of this video, I said when I put that 2-inch lift on, I should have left it right then and there. I should have left it. I shouldn't have tried to go up further, but me, I wanted to go up further. I wanted to put 35-inch tires on it, which I still could have had the 35-inch tires on here with it, because you can see I did some trimming around the front and around the back, because I had to cut both the crash bars in the back, and I cut the crash bars in the front. So, you know, I mean, you know, y'all, it is what it is, right? That's what they say. Hey guys, like I always say in every video, you know, hit those like buttons, hit those subscribe and notification buttons. It costs you nothing, you know, to help support the channel, to keep the channel going, you know. And like I said, you know, from the beginning, you know, if you plan on getting older, like me, be careful about lifting your truck and how high you're gonna lift it, you know, because you'll come to a point, you know, where you want a smoother ride out of it. And it's not so much the height, because I can get in and get out of it is, you know, it's still as easy as anything, okay? All right, but the ride itself, you know, when I go to bumpy areas over railroad tracks and whatnot, I gotta slow down, because if not, you know, I feel like I'm on a bucking bronco. You know, I really do. So everybody, thanks for tuning in the channel, and I'll see you next time. Y'all have a wonderful day.